Hi again, and welcome to day 5 of the Social Distancing for Animators mini-series. My name is Karen Jackson, and for the past 8 years, I've been working as an artist in the animation industry, and recently switched into production management at Tangent Animation in Toronto. It is my personal goal to create space for artists in this industry to grow beyond their greatest expectations, and to also help animators and people who are struggling to find space in this industry learn the necessary skills they may be lacking in order to achieve their dream jobs. So today I kind of wanted to have an off-script kind of chat with you guys. And over the past 5 days, I've been sharing my tips on what to do with yourselves while at home during this time. But today I want to talk a little bit about what social distancing actually is and why it's so important. So, social distancing is essentially staying apart from people outside of your household. This means limiting trips to the grocery store as much as humanly possible, not going out with friends, not visiting them in their homes, not visiting your family or seeing them in their homes, or bringing them into your own home. It means, not going out to playgrounds or parks with your kids, which is very difficult for most parents, I should say, if not all. And basically, the aim is to stay as isolated as humanly possible. But everyone is interpreting social distancing rather differently, and nobody really wants to talk about the fact that they're still going out to the grocery store or still ordering food in or going out for takeout. It's become a social taboo to even ask about these things and about people's interpretation of these things. So it's important that the government kind of set guidelines for what social distancing should look like. And the Canadian government has set its own recommendations so far for social distancing, and these are avoiding crowded places and non-essential gatherings, avoiding common greetings such as handshakes, limiting contact with people at higher risk, example, older adults and those in poor health, and keeping distance of at least 2 arms lengths, approximately 2 meters, away from others as much as possible. Now, to me, these guidelines are pretty vague, and many people are downright ignoring them. But for those of us doing our part and self-isolating, daily life is starting to look very different for us all. I was reminded this morning, about the story of Barry Waymiller, and whose CEO, Bob Chapman, once, when times were really rough for the company and the company was facing a crisis and closure, Bob Chapman took all of the employees into the same room and wanted to discuss with them what the next steps were for the company. And now traditionally, when a company is facing closure, they start thinking about, well, who can we let go, and making cuts in that kind of way. But Bob didn't like the idea of making anybody lose their job. Each of these employees, all had families that they had to take care of and feed, and this was a depressed time for everybody, not just for Barry Waymiller. So Bob took everyone into a room and told each of the employees, no matter how senior or how junior they were, that they needed to take 4 weeks unpaid time off. And he gave them the freedom to take it anytime they wanted. They could take it throughout the year and sprinkle it through. They could take it all at once. It was totally up to the employee how they took this time off. And the idea, and Bob's theory, is that it was better that we all suffer a little so that no one has to suffer a lot. And this this is what the quarantine is all about. It's better that everyone stays home and suffer the isolation for a small period of time rather than many, hundreds of thousands, even potentially millions if projections are correct, die from this disease. You've all heard the phrase flying around about flattening the curve. And this phrase is about exactly this idea. It's about curving the death toll to keep going out when it's not absolutely necessary to do so is, in my opinion, not only irresponsible, but downright selfish. Just today, I was reading a story of a gentleman who was from Toronto who went on his vacation to Miami, Florida anyways, recently. And he didn't like the idea of losing all of that money for his vacation, and he told himself, I really need this vacation, I need this time off, I'm gonna go anyways. So he went down and did his vacationing thing and partied and whatnot, and on the flight back home he started to feel strange, and soon after learned that he had contracted COVID-19, coronavirus. He had to take an Uber to the hospital, and many other people that he was with and on his flight and in those same spaces had been found to also have contracted the disease. So with his flight history, they were able to determine right away that he had this disease. And he shared his experience of what it was like going through this, through the disease, and what it's like for him recovering. And he said that he experienced pain like he had never felt in his entire life, and he felt like he was drowning. He had no ability to breathe. He lived alone, so he didn't have anyone to help take care of him. And this is not someone who was older or even in their 40s or 50s, or someone who had any sort of comorbidities or any sort of diseases. This is someone who was a fit, young 25-year-old who just decided to take his regular vacation down to Florida because he hadn't had a vacation in a long time and thought, I deserve this, I'm going to take my time, I don't want to lose all that money. But now he's warning us all to not take this so lightly, and that we should be taking this whole thing more seriously and staying home. And yet, many still aren't doing so. I don't mean to scare you with all of this and say, oh no, you have to stay home all the time, 100%, don't even talk to your friends on the phone kind of thing. Like, that's not what this is about. But to me, this is your chance and your opportunity to be heroes that you read about, to do your part in this world and save lives. Just by staying home, you're saving lives. And so keep up the great work. Together, we can beat this. I look forward to seeing you all safe, healthy, and happy when all of this is over. See you next week. Goodbye, everyone.